live with the New York Times best-selling author Lisa Unger, here to give us the inside scoop on her latest book, Served Him Right, out next Tuesday. Lisa, welcome back to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me back. You know, I always love hanging out with you. Yeah, so Served Him Right is about a brunch. My main character, Anna, is hosting a brunch for her friends, or her sister's hosting the brunch for her. And it's not an ordinary brunch.
No.
It's an exorcism, and heavy on the X. So Anna has gathered her friends together because she has just had a very ugly breakup with her cheating boyfriend, Paul. And she wants to gather her friends together to eradicate him from their social media feeds. You know, unfollow, delete, goodbye. So that is the intention. So usually a girl's brunch is all, you know, flowers and mimosas. But in this case, in the middle of the brunch, the doorbell rings, and it turns out that Paul has been found murdered. And
Paul
Anna,
is no more,
who has a very dark and dangerous history with men, is, of course, the prime suspect.
And maybe Paul deserved it. Maybe it served him right. We're going to get into it. We're going to get into it about this brunch unlike any other. First, I just want to welcome everyone. We are broadcasting live to 8 different destinations across Facebook and YouTube. So mystery and thriller loving friends, no matter where you're watching from, you're in the right place. This is the right time. It is Mystery Monday because Mondays can be murder. We are going to make it a little less painful and get your week off to a killer start. If you've been with us before, you know the drill. And if you're new, welcome, friends. Here's the drill. Every Monday, I give you my handpicked featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. So ask Lisa Unger about this brunch, about these characters, about these sisters. We've got Anna, we've got Vera. We start off with Jessica. Ask her about Paul, men behaving badly, all of the questions. Get them going in the comments, and I will get them right over to her. Sharon is joining us from YouTube saying, hi, girls.
Hi,
so nice to see you again, Lisa. So fun fact, Lisa, when I hosted your launch at the Unlikely Story, Sharon came to meet us in person after being with me for 5 years as my maven. We met her in person together.
Amazing. I love that. I remember that. That was so great.
A stack of all of your books.
She did.
She brought the stack of all of your books, and she got them. Yes. So
I love it.
Yay. Okay, Robin saying hello all from sunny Santa Cruz, California. Robin, great to have you. Renee is joining us from Southeast Florida, your fellow Floridian there, Lisa Unger.
There you go.
Welcome, everyone. A brunch unlike any other, indeed. Renee is here to say she's pre-ordered Served Him Right, and she can't wait to read it.
I hope you love it.
So, Lisa, let's dive in. First of all, bring us back to the moment of inception where you thought of this story. What were you doing? Were you at brunch? Were you having cocktails? Tell us everything. Bring us into that moment.
Yeah. So, you know, there's always for me like a kind of a collision of ideas. Like it's never just like kind of one thing. So I had this really, I've had this ongoing obsession with plants. You know, I always have something that I'm obsessed with. There's always like some kind of topic that I'm kind of digging into, you know, like whether it's technology or, you know, some type of technology, or for a while it was birds. And then it just kind of became plants. I read this book called The Entangled Life by Merlin Sheldrake. And it got me really thinking about plants and the lives of plants. And then I started reading The Light Eaters by Zoe Schlanger. And then there was another book. I think it's right on my shelf right here. Oh yes, The Most Delicious Poison. So it's about plants, and you know, in that particular book, it was about plants and how they, you know, how this really complicated relationship that we have with nature and with, you know, with the natural world, and how, you know, we rely upon it to nourish us, and yet, you know, we're subject to its whims. You know, and that some plants that are in certain doses medicinal and other doses are poison.
Which is a line from the book.
It is. And so this is something that was kind of in my head going on when I read about a crime across the world where a woman prepared brunch for her family, and 2 days later, 2 of those people had died.
Oh my God, you saw that in the news?
Yes. And it was not the first time something like that had happened in her life. So when I read the story, it was still unclear as to whether she was guilty or not of a crime. It's, not to get into the actual story, because it's really not about that. It was just that kind of, like you say, that moment of inception. And I had this idea. So it kind of connected with my obsession with plants and this idea of something that can nourish us can also harm us. And that you would sit down to a table with people that you trusted and expecting to be nourished. And instead you are poisoned by somebody that you trust. And that it would be so that the flavor, that the food that you would be served, the taste would be so normal, so innocuous that you wouldn't even know. And that it could be a number of days before it kind of worked its way into your system. So that was like kind of the collision for me. And then of course, everything for me begins and ends with a character. So it was Anna Blacksmith, who was like the first voice that I heard. But this is a multiplayer game. There's a bunch of very powerful voices in the story, but she was really the first.
It's so interesting that you say, because I used to live in Australia, which is a country that has its fair share of poisonous things, spiders, snakes, plants. And my very dear friend Helen who still lives there, was on a flight with, it turned out, the medical examiner from the state. And she leaned into him and said, if you were going to kill someone, how would you do it? Which of course is a very normal question to ask someone on an airplane.
I ask people that all the time.
And he said, I would do it by plants. Yes. He said they leave no trace. And I'm now blanking on the name of the specific. He had a plant all picked out. He was ready for this question.
It was probably digitalis, right? It was probably like from the belladonna. So it's probably something like that. Yep.
From the belladonna. It may have been indigenous to Australia, but he said it is fatal. It leaves no trace. It doesn't show up in any toxicology screenings. This is the way to do it and get away with murder. So so clearly you're picking up on this, like the seasoned pro you are. Oh my goodness. So many. Okay. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited. Okay. Shelly is joining us from Facebook saying hi from Southern Ohio.
Hey,
Krista is joining us from Facebook saying, I am about halfway through it and I am loving it.
Yay.
Robin says she was just at Left Coast Crime and she failed her mission. That's okay, Robin. If one of the Mavens is going to be at a conference with one of the authors we interviewed, we have them execute a mystery and thriller Maven mission, where a Maven's mission, where they then go up. It is a whole secret thing. That's okay, Robin. We forgive you. We're just happy that you're here. So Lisa, how many books what number book is this for you?
This is number 23.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of amazing.
It is kind of amazing. 23 books. What an incredible accomplishment. So Lisa, what has 23 books under her belt you learned that one book under her belt Lisa would have liked to know?
I think that, I was very fortunate when I started writing because I had been in the publishing business for a long time, right? So I was very aware of the business and how it worked, and I knew that, I knew that at that time that writing, like a contract to write a book, is nothing else other than an open door into the writing life. And if I wanted to succeed, I was going to have to just check my ego and roll up my sleeves and get to work, like anything else that, I wanted to do well. And so I feel like I knew that. I feel like I knew that going in. And I also knew something that I think I still know, and something that still keeps me really grounded and really centered, is that, it's always about the writing.
Ooh.
There's all these, I think maybe you don't realize when you first start out, like if you are going to have a long career, and you're lucky if you have a long career, because it's harder to succeed as a published writer than it is to get published in the first place. And it's damn hard to get published in the first place. I think that, I knew that it was always about the work. It's always about the writing, right? Like it never stops being about that, whether you're on book 1 or you're on book 23. There's all these, like, throughout your long career, there's all these, like, these dizzying highs and these crushing lows. No matter what happens on any given day, you just go back to the page. And that's, kind of what's kept me centered, always.
Oh, I love that. We need to clip it and put it on a poster.
It's always about the writing. It's never about anything else.
But also just about the dizzying highs and the crushing lows.
Yeah.
Tell us about some of what was a crushing low, and
well, I'm not going to focus on the negative or even the positive. What I will say is that you have bad days and you have good days. Everybody does, right? Great things happen, bad things happen. Your dreams come true. You face plant, right? Like that's everything. That's everyone. But like, what do you do, right? Like that's the real question. Like, there's like the sort of Zen idea that like, what do you do before enlightenment? You chop wood, carry water. What do you do after enlightenment? You chop wood, carry water. So it's like you get the thing that you want. You get the great thing in your career that you want. That's so exciting. What do? You've still got to walk the dog. You've still got to work on the book that's due. The worst thing happens. Bad review, bad day, who knows what, right? Like you still have to walk the dog. You still have to work on the book. Like that's the point, right? It's not what happens or when, it's what you do afterwards that counts.
Yes. Renee saying this needs to be on your wall, Sarah. Yes, exactly. I am thinking, I'm already visualizing the poster, Renee. You and I were vibing. Barbara says, hi from Washington State. I love your books. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you for reading.
Shelly saying, oh, and I love it how Facebook has brought us together to be able to see you and get to know you better.
So true.
Yay. I think, yeah, exactly. And I think now that once you get to know her better, you will only love her more. Sharon saying, I finished reading it today. It felt like the women were in a cult. Did you think of that when you were writing it?
No, I mean, I really didn't think of it in terms of a cult or even really anything supernatural. The women in the book, there's like a collection of women or an organization of women that
this is not a spoiler.
No, I don't think it is. That it's I call the Cove. And they are, they're a collection of women that are in touch with the planet and the power of the earth in a very earthly way. They're herbalists. They have crystals. Maybe there are some kind of, maybe there's some kind of like, not supernatural, but like extra natural. That's exactly salt lamps, things like things like that, right? So like I always have questions about the power of the human mind, right? The power of the earth, right? The psycho-spiritual, right? Like, so these are things that always are curious for me. So I always have questions about how things work. And I think there are more questions than there are answers, but I don't know if it was like necessarily a cult. I would see it more as like an organization of women who have a knowledge that they share with one another. That's how I see it.
Ooh, interesting. I didn't know that you were fascinated by the power of the mind and the power of the earthly. So I'm learning more about you too.
Yeah.
That was
I feel like you did know that. I feel like
maybe I blocked it out in terror.
I hope not. Don't we all have questions? Isn't that why we write?
Anissa, welcome to the conversation. My favorite librarian saying, hello, ladies. I'm excited to read this new book by Lisa. Yay, you're in the right place, Anissa. So good to see you. Renee wants to know, Lisa, do you find that you need to do more yourself for people to notice and buy your books? So as the industry has changed over the course of 23 years.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like when I started out as a newbie writer in, back in the Stone Ages, like 2002 is my first
Year of
book
our Lord,
published.
1897.
That's right. And there was no social media at all. I mean, there was not, there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, there was certainly nothing like this, right? Like certainly nothing even close to what we have now. And, I think that at the time it was, there was less opportunity in that way to connect with booksellers and librarians and readers. So I think that there was a lot of, there was just a lot less, fewer forums, fewer venues for getting out there. It was really like you published your book, you went on the road. There was a publicist that did what they did. There was there was actually nothing that you really could do for yourself at that time, other than, kind of being out there. And so, the industry has changed. I mean, I've been, I started, my career as a book publicist. That was my first job out of school when I was 22 years old. And so I've been in publishing since I was 22. And so there's literally everything about the business has changed, right? Everything from format to marketing to, all of it. But the one thing it doesn't change is that, people read, and it's human nature to narrate and to create stories and to entertain and to try to enlighten and inform and, excite your readers. So like that, those are the things that don't change. But I'm really pretty strict about, what I do and what I don't do. Like, again, it's all about the writing. So that's where I put all my effort. I'm an early morning writer, right? Like that's where I kind of try to keep that space sacred for creativity. And the rest of the work, I try to, batch in the afternoon as I can. And then of course, when a book is about to come out, then there's a lot more that you have to do, being out there, doing interviews, being on the road, all that. So yeah, so there's a lot of opportunity, but there's also like a space where you have to kind of draw a line and say, it's creativity first, and that's where I want to put the bulk of my effort. Nobody ever came to your work and stayed because you were a great publicist. They come to your work and stay because you gave them a great book, you gave them a story that stayed with them and that made you want to read what comes next. So I firmly believe that.
Oh, I love that. Joe Ben is joining us from Beaumont, Texas, saying hello, Lisa and Sarah. Hi, Joe Ben. So good to have you. And speaking of Texas, Lisa is coming on tonight to give us the exclusive sneak peek. And you can pre-order Served Him Right from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore. That is, of course, Murder by the Book. So whether you're watching with us on Facebook or YouTube, here is the link that you can pre-order Served Him Right by Lisa Unger. So I'm going to pop that up. And you can get your mitts on this story as soon as the book drops. Look at it. I haven't seen the hardcover yet.
Oh, the hardcover. It's so beautiful. It's like
so it is so beautiful. And you can't, I'm going to hold this up because actually this really cool because it looks like it's and then there's this really cool.
Yeah, you can see like the words inside.
Behind it.
No.
Oh, all the hearts on Facebook thanks for the bouquets of hearts blowing up, you guys. Elizabeth, welcome to the conversation, saying, Lisa, considering your 23 novels, has a reader ever brought up a character or scene that you just can't recall from one of your books? If so, what do you do?
So yeah, probably somebody's going to bring up a character at some point that I don't remember. I do feel very connected to all of the work though, so that they're like, I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I didn't remember a character, but I think if I did find myself in that situation, I would just have to admit it. Like, hey,
Lisa,
none of us are getting any younger here,
in book 5, page 97.
On page 96, there was a blonde woman with a tattoo. What was her name?
Oh my God, we should do that. We should do that. We should test
Don't do that.
Elizabeth, that is a good question. Thank you so much. And thank you, Sarah and Lisa. Of course, our pleasure. Yes. So I want to get to some of the, you guys, I love all these questions, all these fabulous. So good to have here. Renee saying, Lisa, thank you so much for answering her question. Of course, Renee, that is what we're here for, to connect readers to their favorite authors and introduce them to their next favorite authors, and to have these kinds of conversations where we can chat about this. So Lisa, you said, I did want to just talk about some of the praise that this book has earned. Let's start off with Nita Prose. She raves that this is a twisty and pacy thriller. I'm going to pop this up so we can all read it together. Served Him Right reveals that betrayal is the most bitter poison of all. Would you agree? Is that the most bitter poison of all?
Well, I mean, I think poison is the most bitter poison of all. But yeah, betrayal stings for sure.
Oh my gosh. Well, congratulations on that rave review. And she is not the only one raving. So Sally Hepworth, who's been on for her last 4 books, also weighing in with some fabulous praise, saying, this is a ticking time bomb, deliciously wicked with a slow drip of dread. I like all these poisonous analogies that builds to a boil. Served Him Right is darkly funny, deliciously twisted, and entirely addictive. I devoured it. So did you, first of all, I love Sally Hepworth. Did you try to be funny, Lisa Unger?
No. What do you think it was fun? Did you find it funny? Some people have said it's very funny. I'm like, I mean,
says it's dark.
Are funny. Like, so Anna was really funny to me. But I don't feel like I had anything to do with that. Like, this is just sort of my experience with my writing. Like, she was just funny, like in a really dark and kind of twisted way. And she had, in her relationship to Vera and to another character in the book, and even like to Coraline, like without giving anything away, like her relationship to the various people in her life, I found kind of very amusing. But like, I don't know that I ever tried to make it funny. Like, I didn't like, I think, like that idea of like, oh, I would sit down and write something that was funny. I don't think.
Make us laugh, Lisa Unger. Make us laugh.
I can't. I can make you think, but I can't make you. I don't know if I can make you laugh. I don't know.
So Anna, just so everyone knows, so Anna is the younger sister, the bad girl sister.
The bad girl, the bad sister.
Dating the bad man, Paul, who we learn about in chapter 1 in the prologue is a very, very bad man. And Vera is her older and married and perfect sister with the big fancy house and the 2, kids in private school and the Mercedes car and, all of the trappings of a privileged and prestigious life. And Anna is doing, we learn in Anna's first chapter, very naughty things.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking maybe Sally's referring to, like, she walks past this junkyard and she sees this cat, and she finds herself having like an imagined conversation with him, and she's thinking of him as Tom the cat. Right. And I bet Sally was thinking of those things where she's like, see, Tom, I'm a bad girl too. Like, you kitty cat. And she's like, I like feline company.
That's true.
I bet those are the moments that Sally was thinking of there. Yeah. Ashley Elston also weighing in, says, calling this a breakup brunch that goes horribly wrong. She says, in this deliciously twisted tale of revenge, the fast-paced plot pulled me in, and the tangle of secrets and lies kept me guessing until the very end. So Lisa, 23 books in, what do you think is the key to writing a fast-paced plot that pulls readers like Ashley Elston in and guessing till the very last page.
I mean, I honestly believe that everything begins and ends with character. You know, if people don't care about your characters, you could write the best imaginable plot with, you know, X and Y and Z twist and all of that stuff, that you can do that. But if people are not in touch with and don't at least have empathy or a connection to your characters, they don't necessarily need to like them, but they have to be deeply involved. I think everything flows from that. You know, I think that, you know, you can be mindful of your pacing, you can be mindful of, you know, the plot and all that as a writer, but your main focus should always be on your characters and what's going on with them and how authentic are they and what is their emotional truth. And, you know, if you can live in that space, then I think you can write a book that is organically pacey and twisty.
Ooh, I like that, because I think you're right about the organic options. Kind of funny we're talking about plants, but because a trend that I'm noticing just doing so many of these interviews and reading even more broadly to see which books I want to feature on the series, I'm noticing a trend in the industry where it's all about the twist.
Yeah.
How many twists can you get in? Can you trick the reader in a delicious way, in the way that they want to be tricked? But can you write the twistiest tornado of all twists where it's like, they never saw it coming? But I think sometimes I feel like the believability goes down in service of writing this like too crazy to, too unbelievable twist. And so I think what you're saying about it being organic is really resonating with me as a reader and also as a writer.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, you don't want to, like, you know, I know that there's this idea of like, oh, I have to trick the reader. And there's like, like you say, like, oh, like these kind of like, breakneck, hairpin twists and turns. And I think that it has to evolve naturally from the characters and how you're getting to know them. And I don't know that, like, I personally I'm not able to plot ahead and be like, okay, twist A comes here, twist B comes here. Like, that's just not the kind of writer I am. I can never be that, I just can't. So I have to write the most authentic book that I can write with the characters that are alive for me, and that the twists and the suspense and the delay of information has to be organic to the story. It's sort of like how you get to know people. When you get to know people, you meet somebody, you know their name, you know a little bit about them, maybe what their job is. And then, like, as you get to know them better, you learn about their family, you learn about what brings them joy, what causes them pain. They tell you slowly, like, what's going on in their lives, like what's their story, what's the story of your life. Like, you get that information, gradually. And I feel like that is the same for character, right? You spend that time with your character and they reveal themselves to you on the page. And as they reveal themselves, the story flows from those revelations. That's how it works for me anyway.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so true. Renee saying some authors seem only to focus on the twist instead of the story. I could not agree more, Renee. And that does that. And I think the reason that doesn't land well with me is because it doesn't feel authentic. I'm like, this feels like, page 42, time to have time to have that third twist.
Right. And I mean, I think you've seen all the, you've read some of these books and you've watched some of these things, and it's like a Frankenstein's monster of tropes. And then all of a sudden, there's a shocking twist, but there was nothing to scaffold it. There was no emotional truth to the story that made you go, okay, wow, that was, whatever. So we know that there's all this, and it does, it all does pretty well in general. So those books are and shows and stuff are going to probably stick around for a while. So that's sort of not what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's exactly. Yeah. It's so interesting to me because that's not what I enjoy reading, but I do see them. Exactly. I do see them thriving.
So yeah.
You guys, so many more rave reviews from Liv Constantine, Rachel Halsell Hall, Booklist, Kirkus. I'm going to put them all in the comments so you can read them at your leisure, because we are out of time. Time flies when you're having this much fun. But I do want to remind you, the book is not even out yet. Lisa Unger is coming on to give us the inside scoop before the book comes out. And you can pre-order tonight from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore. That is, once again, Murder by the Book. So whether you're watching with us on Facebook or on YouTube, here is that link so you can get your mitts on the Cove, on Anna, Vera, and the rest of the girl gang, the Cove, and let us know if you think it served him right. I know I did. Let us know. And as always, all of the tea is spilled in Mystery and Thriller Mavens, the Facebook group, free and open to all. So please join us there. Renee, thank you for joining us. Lisa Marie, good to have you. Welcome. Sharon saying, great interview. Everyone have a great night. Sharon, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, everyone who commented. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. All my silent lurkers, I see you and I love you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Jane, Brenda, Jean, Renee L. Oh my goodness. Hi, everybody. Barbara, Robin with a Y, Robin with an I. Oh my goodness. Ed, Alan. Oh my God, I can't get to everyone, but hi, we love you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And that is a wrap for us. I will see you next week. May the days and the pages fly by. Join me with Nadine Matheson. You're not going to want to miss the latest from her.